Hello and welcome to S24 Rundown. I am Halima Abdurrauf and here is our news in brief. To begin with, Nigeria has formally completed the diplomatic posting of its envoys to key global destinations after receiving the required agreement from host countries. The Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Bianca Odumego Ojukwu, presented the letters of credence on behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, officially accrediting the ambassadors. Those posted include Aminat Al-Hatu to the United Kingdom, Ayodele Oke to France, and Jimo Ibrahim to the United Nations in New York. Authorities say the move marks a critical step in strengthening Nigeria's diplomatic presence and advancing its foreign policy objectives. In another development, the Ondo State chapter of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, has suspended its planned congresses across all levels, following a directive from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The state chairman, Wole Ademoyegun, said the decision was taken to comply with INEC's instruction to maintain the status quo amid ongoing internal dispute. The party also warned members against unauthorized gatherings, stressing the need for calm and discipline as the situation unfolds. And now to security matters. The Plateau State government has further relaxed the curfew in Just North local government area, following a relative return to calm after recent violence. Governor Caleb Mutfwang approved new movement hours from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., while urging residents to comply strictly with security directives. Authorities say the situation remains calm but tensed, with continued patrols across affected communities. Meanwhile, the federal government says it is drawing lessons from Indonesia as it pursues its ambition of building a $1 trillion economy. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning Abubakar Bagudu made this known during a meeting with Indonesia's ambassador to Nigeria, Bambang Suharto, in Abuja. He noted that Indonesia's rapid economic transformation provides useful insight for Nigeria's 2026 to 2030 development plan, with emphasis on international collaboration. On the international scene, United States President Donald Trump has agreed to suspend planned military action against Iran for 2 weeks. The temporary pause is expected to create room for negotiations, with global attention focused on the strategic Strait of Hormuz and its impact on international energy supply. United Kingdom Prime Minister Keir Starmer is also set to visit Gulf countries to support ongoing ceasefire efforts in the Middle East. Starmer welcomed the truce and emphasized the need for sustained diplomatic engagement to ensure long-term stability in the region. And now to business news with Gladys Emmanuel. What should we expect today, Gladys?
Hello, Halima. Here are the top business stories making the rounds. The World Bank has urged Nigeria to enforce fiscal discipline, rebuild financial buffers, and save excess oil revenues as Middle East tensions push crude prices across $100 per barrel, far above the country's 64.85 benchmark. Presenting the April 2026 Nigeria Development Update in Abuja, lead economist Fisiha Hale said the conflicts involving Iran, the United States, and Israel could boost revenues but heighten inflation risks. The bank recommended tight monetary policy by the Central Bank of Nigeria, exchange rate flexibility, targeted social protection, and reforms such as reopening petrol imports and reducing trade barriers. While Nigeria's economy grew by 4.0% in 2025 and inflation eased to 15.1% in February 2026, the bank warned that rising global costs may strain households and slow recovery. It stressed that poverty remains high and called for stronger investment in human capital, especially early childhood development. Finance Minister Wale Edun said the government is managing risks while leveraging high oil prices, noting production has reached about 1.84 million barrels per day. He added that reforms under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have strengthened the economy, but sustained growth will depend on disciplined policies and increased private sector investment. Nigeria's newly proposed livestock development roadmap is set to revolutionize the economy with the potential to create 350,000 jobs within the next 2 years and tap into a market valued at 33 trillion naira. President of the Abuja's Chamber of Commerce and Industry, ACCI, Chief Emeka Obegolu, disclosed this during an interview with newsmen while hailing the initiative as a landmark shift toward food security and industrialization. Obegolu commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the strategic establishment of the Ministry of Livestock Development and also noted that a dedicated ministry is the missing link needed to drive focused policies and attract the private sector. Beirut officials say the decision by Israel to exclude Lebanon from the recent U.S.-Iran ceasefire has deepened increased economic uncertainty and worsened business conditions in an already fragile economy. The Islamabad truce announced to pause broader hostilities and open talks has not halted Israeli military operations in southern Lebanon and beyond, undermining confidence in commercial activities and market stability. Business survey shows Lebanon's private sector contracted sharply in March, with Lebanon's Purchasing Managers Index sinking to a 17-month low amid reduction, falling new orders, and a slowdown in exports as firms cite war-related disruptions and demand conciliation. Economy Minister Eme Basit has repeatedly warned that ongoing conflict threatens key sectors, livelihoods, and economic recovery as markets suffer from rising costs, displacement, and shrinking trade. Analysts estimate Lebanon's GDP could extract by 12 to 16% in 2026 if fighting persists, reflecting deepening losses across agriculture, retail, and hospitality, while displacement and access constraints erode household incomes and food security. And that's the latest from business and global markets. I'm Gladys Emmanuel. We'll be joining Halima and Abubakar for the newspaper reviews after the break.
From that break, now onto the newspaper review with Abubakar Turaki. And we start with this day newspaper, where World Bank calls on Nigeria to save oil windfall for rainy days. This is a big deal for us as a country, considering that anytime the World Bank or IMF speaks, it's like there is a stamp on our economy. What do you make of this story, especially as the World Bank prescribed some policy responses for Nigeria in the wake of ongoing conflict in the Middle East, including fiscal discipline, rebuilding fiscal buffers, and saving from the oil windfall for rainy days? What does this mean for Nigeria?
This is a tradition of Bretton Woods institution, the IMF and World Bank. Whenever there is a little adjustment in the price of crude oil globally, they used to advise most of the developing countries on how they can at least have shock absorbers in their economy. So this is not the first time, because if I could remember Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, when she was the minister
of the, I think, Budget and the coordinating minister of the economy at the time.
Of course, during the time of Olusegun Obasanjo and Goodluck Jonathan, she wrote it in her book, Fighting Corruption is Dangerous. She made it categorically clear that Nigerians, we have to look inward whenever the price of crude oil appreciate in the global market, in the global sector. We need to have a way of appreciating it and saving it in our own for our rainy days.
As the minister of the coordinating minister of the economy at the time is far-fetched. Just recently, she was at an event and she mentioned that Nigerians or Africans should look inward. So what should we do to look inward? Because I believe that there are experts in the finance sector, in the economy, that should give us details. I'm sure you've been doing your research. So what does it mean to look inward in this period?
That we have to know what we are doing, and we have to cut our spending. We don't have to be cutting. We don't have to be spending things flamboyantly, because whenever things like that happen, because if you recall during the time of Corona, when the economy was in a global recession, Nigerian government and some African government and some third world government have been borrowing, running around in order to have financing, in order to pay some dues, some project finance, some project, and so this is a wake-up call from IMF and the World Bank, calling the third world countries in order for them to look inward.
Did you agree with a third world country? Because that's really big for me.
Well, of course.
Third world.
Of course, we are developing countries. Developing countries, yeah. Yes.
You say third world, I think we've passed that stage as Nigeria. I don't know of other African countries, but with the technological advancement, yes, you might say the cost of governance is a big thing, but the government should cut down on that if that's what you mean. But to say third world, I disagree, because as a Nigerian, I'm patriotic like that. I think we should move on to the next one that says, civil society organization warns that Nigeria is on the brink of collapse over insecurity. What do you make of that? I think the security situation in Nigeria is really worsening by the day from the statistics that we see all over the place. In fact, there was a time that MBS mentioned that this is what we're in, and it became something that made the platform goes offline for a bit. What do you make of this? Because we all know what's going on around Nigeria. If you start with the northwest, there is the banditry attack. In the north central, yes, it's still banditry. I think you can still call it farmer and maybe the resident or the real inhabitant of the place, and other places. What do you make of it, and what's the solution in your own perspective?
The call came at the right moment, because looking at the 6 geopolitical zones we have here in Nigeria, virtually most of the geopolitical zones are under an insecurity. If you look at the northeast is battling with Boko Haram. And if you look at the northwest is battling with the issue of cattle rustling, kidnapping, yeah, of course. And if you also look at the north central is little bit stable. And if you look
just
at
recently in Nasarawa State, there was a village that was. The villages were taken out of their maybe ancestral places just by some people that. I think I'll call them criminal, because we need to remove the ethnic and religious coloration to make things better in Nigeria. So the North Central is also dealing with its kind of insecurity in a way.
Of course, yes. It has become a tradition whenever the country is at the verge of election. Some recent insecurity will just be coming up from here and there, just to destabilize the country for a political reason. So the civil society organization here are calling on the government in order to double their effort. Let them look at they still have a long way to go, and Nigeria is not at peace. They are making this call in order to serve as a wake-up call to our government. Because if there is no security in this country, even the governance is not going to be possible.
And you know that these calls are not today, it's like an everyday thing. Once there is any issue of national importance, the calls are always there. What should the civil society do beyond just calls? Because I think we need more actionable plans than just calls.
Civil society organizations, they are more or less a toothless bulldog. They are just here to make calls. Allegedly. They are just here to make call, to bring government to their own toilet, let them listen to the government. But they still have a long way to go by promoting a proper orientation and reorientation. Look at the root cause of the problem. As the civil society organization, most of them are here to provide some humanitarian activities. What is exactly the root cause of the problem of insecurity? Is it illiteracy? Is it poverty? Is it unemployment?
I think that brings us to say that the agitation is coming on the back of the recent attacks in Borno, Plateau, Kaduna, Katsina, Niger, Benue states that claimed tens of lives and led to. So they've linked this to partly multi-dimensional poverty and lacking access to food, shelter, and education, rising fuel prices occasioned by the ongoing war in the Middle East. So foundation, you say foundation. This foundation is something that, I don't know, is it going to be a 360 degrees thing to fix, or what do you make of it?
Sometimes change begins with you and I. And for us to change, we have to change our own mindset, orientation and the way we understand things. And it's not every day that you will just be thinking like it's all about win-win. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And sometimes fighting insecurity like this, it does not require the use of force. Sometimes it has to be an amicable resolution in order, truth and reconciliation. So civil society organizations should find a way of bringing people very close to them, bringing government, let them come back to the drawing board. What is exactly the problem? Let us iron the problem out. And I believe Nigerians will see it.
Reconciliation work in a situation where victims of maybe banditry attacks cannot bring back their loved ones that were lost, say, for instance. So do you encourage truth and reconciliation in that regard?
You know, sometimes you have to, sometimes the winner have to take all and the loser have to lose. And the damage has already been done. So truth and reconciliation will play a vital role. And also our traditional leaders and Islamic scholars, the religious scholars also have a long way to go. Because I believe whether Quranically or Biblically, there is no any religion that is preaching of insecurity or clean or violence. So it's a collective responsibility.
It's a collective responsibility. If maybe the people that are perpetrating are being taken through the justice process for them to pay for their deeds. Because I sometimes believe that you can't tell someone that their parent was killed. For instance, a situation in Zamfara recently where there was a naming ceremony and unfortunately bandits attacked and they asked both couple to kill themselves. And the wife said, I would not do it. The man said, I would not do it. At the end of the day, the bandits shot the man dead and threw the baby, unfortunately, into the cooking pot and asked every attendee to eat from it. Do you expect that maybe there was a child of that woman that is grown at the time, and also that woman that became like mentally derailed instantly, should forgive, should accept that the government should do truth and reconciliation? Will that work?
Trauma to them. It's going to be a lifetime trauma to them. And also the judicial system also have a role, have a long way to go in addressing the issue of insecurity in the country.
Because this is really a dicey situation that we need to be careful as well as people and speaking to the core of this matter. And Kwankwaso tackling factional ADC leader, Nephew Bala Gwembe. That's something I don't really understand. The ADC is like in a place. There is the INEC injunction about courts and all of that. Do you think this is going to be resolved anytime soon?
Sometimes internal party conflict is inevitable. And I saw the recent interview with Kwankwaso, when he wanted to reconcile, they wanted to have an in-house reconciliation between the faction of Nafiu Bala Gombe and the faction of David Mark. So what Kwankwaso said here was he actually called the Nafiu Bala in order for him to come and let him listen to him. What is exactly the problem? What is making him to do this kind of thing to ADC? Because from all indication, ADC is now the strongest political party in Nigeria. And strongest.
Allegedly. Because where is your statistic if you say strongest? There is the ruling party.
Oh, there's a ruling party, but ADC is among the opposition party. Because
also, if you would say maybe from the opposition.
From the opposition, yeah, from the opposition. From the opposition. Yeah. And looking at the way ADC is getting momentum from all aspects, whether behind the scene or even in reality, there are unforeseen actions and there are unforeseen politicking that is taking place. So Kwankwaso wanted to hear from him so that he can have first-hand information. What is exactly the problem? What is going on? But later on, Nafiu Bala did not honor the invitation of Kwankwaso, and Kwankwaso felt, should I say, disrespected. And he was even calling Nafiu Bala as Nafiu Bala is just a small boy. He's just starting in the political system. And he felt like the youth are not even eager to venture into active politics, because with the way Nafiu Bala is showcasing some youthful exuberance from what Kwankwaso said.
If you say youthful exuberance, is Nafiu Bala or Nafiu Gwembe someone in the age bracket of the Nigerian youth? I don't mean the UN standard is 29. So the Nigerian youths are definitely a different breed and spectrum. So do you mean Nafiu Bala is in that capacity to be called youth?
Well, sometimes, you know, power and absolute power corrupt absolutely.
So do you call nephew Bala youth?
He's still a youth, and on a Nigerian perspective.
Okay. I think time would like to call it a wrap on Newspaper Review. And that's it on Newspaper Review today. Up next is S24 Reports coming to you after the break. Stay with us.
Nigeria is facing another wave of power outages again. But the real question is not whether the lights are going out, it's why. Start with the reality. Nigeria's national grid is delivering only about 3,000 to 5,000 megawatts on many days for a population of over 200 million people. Yet, installed capacity is often cited above 13,000 megawatts. That gap tells you something important. The problem is not just capacity, it's performance. So what's choking supply? Yes, gas. Thermal plants account for over 70% of Nigeria's electricity generation, meaning when gas supply drops, power output falls almost immediately. But this is not just a fuel problem, it's also a financial crisis. Power generation companies, GenCos, say they are owed over 3 trillion with estimates around 3.3 trillion. And when payments are delayed, gas suppliers cut supply. The result is simple: no payments, no gas, no generation. Recently, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, acknowledged the situation and apologized to Nigerians over the recurring outages, pointing to gas shortages and grid constraints. But even when power is generated, it still doesn't always reach consumers. Nigeria's transmission and distribution networks remain weak, with aging infrastructure, limited grid capacity, and frequent instability. The grid itself has a history of disturbances, forcing operators to implement load shedding just to prevent total system collapse. There are also significant losses from poor metering, inefficiency, and electricity theft, meaning not all generated power gets delivered. So what Nigerians are experiencing is not one problem, it's a chain reaction. Debt leads to gas shortages, which leads to low generation, which meets weak infrastructure and results in outages. The government continues to push reforms, from tariff adjustments to efforts aimed at improving the sector. But experts say solving this crisis requires more than just increasing supply. It means fixing the system itself, from payments and infrastructure to energy diversification. Because until that happens, Nigeria's power problem may not just be a shortage, but a system still struggling to work.
Welcome back from that break, and this is Political Arena. My name is Abubakar Traki. Since the dawn of Nigeria's Fourth Republic, many political parties have struggled to define a clear ideological identity, often prioritizing personality, regional loyalty, and short-term electoral gain over a coherent policy platform. This has contributed to a political landscape where parties' affiliation is fluid and voters frequently make choice based on individual candidate rather than party principle. I will be having this discussion with my guest, Charles Dawkey. Charles, welcome to Political Arena.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So, as a public analyst, since the return of democracy in 1999 to then, many political parties lack coherent ideology. If you look at the First Republic political parties, the Second Republic, and the aborted Third Republic political parties, the likes of NEPU, the likes of Jamia Mutanen Arewa, and the likes of Action Group, and many more, and NCNs, most of them have internal party ideology and political ideology. Why do we have a drug in the Fourth Republic?
Well, in between those parties that you've had, first, second, aborted, third, and all that, there's always been a prolonged presence of the military. So you definitely are able to see that it's like a generation apart. If you're going to look at the time that President Babangida was in power, it was a long time. And when it came back to democracy, it didn't take another, did it even come back? And then before you know it, Abacha was there for a long time. So they're like generations actually apart. And then, of course, from 1999 is when we can sit down and say, okay, we now have a nascent democracy that has birthed the kind of parties that we have never had any truncation and continuity from that time up to this moment. So from 1999 to 2006, barely 17 years, yeah.
Okay. Internal party conflict is inevitable.
Yeah.
And these days, we have experienced internal conflict from the strongest opposition party in Nigeria. Before it was PDP. Before it was PDP, yes. And now it is ADC. But from all indication, based on reports and based on what we see, the ADC is like an internal party democracy. In your own opinion, what led to this internal party democracy?
Well, the symptoms have always been there. The ADC is just a classical representation or example of political parties that are everywhere in Nigeria. There are lots and lots of political parties. And except you're not brought to the limelight, the symptoms of these same problems are always there. One party that I know had managed its own internal wranglings at the initial time because they wanted to take over power was the APC. You remember it was not more than a year that the APC came together with CPC, with ANPP and all that. They put themselves together and they were able to wrestle power from from the PDP. They were able to manage that very well. But of course, even they themselves presently, they have lots of problems. That's why you have the issues of them. El-Rufai is going out of the party. You have people, the party walls are now very fluid. People move in and out depending on what their whims and caprices. And I tell you, it's all about their own interests. So the reason why you have, everyone was clapping and applauding that, okay, the ADC is a new opposition. But if you sit down and look at it, the ADC was just the same with other smaller parties, the APGAs, the PRPs of this world, the SDPs. This is the same kind of thing. It's just that when some of these disgruntled politicians, as it were, are not happy with where they're coming from, or their parties have been rendered useless, let me use that particular word, or a shadow of itself like the PDP has become, they definitely have to go somewhere to be able to now find a home from where they can now start fighting their political battles. It's just like the snake does not know how to dig a hole, but then it goes and looks for the rat that has already dug a hole, chases the rat out, and then enters that hole. There's no form of democracy that's that way. And because it is coming, they are coming in their numbers with their big names and everything. The people that have held that party for all this while when it was registered, they have to cower because of these big names. So when they come and approach them, yes, we want the party to blow in the Nigerian parlance, but once they come in, they want to change a lot of things. If you have the likes of David Mark, the likes of Aregbesola, the likes of Atiku Abubakar, you have the likes of Kwankwaso, you have the likes of Peter Obi, all coming under one platform. And you think somebody is going to remember that there's someone called Nafiu Bala? In that, have you heard of Nafiu Bala before?
He's also parading himself as the legal chairman of the ADC.
Yes, those are the kind of squabbles that would come out from lack of internal democracy. Because one, yes, it's understandable these big wigs have come in. So when they come, there are always negotiations. That is what happens in parties. Okay, you were national chairman of the ADC. Now, we are now trying to make sure that we have some big heavyweights that will be able to, if you say ADC, you'll be like, oh, David Mark. David Mark was a brigadier general in the army. He was a Senate president for all this while. So it's a big name. Let it be that this person is the chairman of our party.
So you're trying
Do you
to
understand?
tell me that politics is all about, you have to know how to play your card.
Definitely. So in doing that, you're like, okay, let us just agree. You will now go back to become vice chairman, Northeast. Do you understand? Okay. Yes, he's from Gombe. So no problem, I agree. So you can just let's run these things and let me be able to do that. And then in the end, you heard on Easter Day, when one of the former senators from Adamawa went live on Facebook to say this is the problem that the APC had, and that is why the person that they thought was a small boy is now coming back to haunt them. So they had that gentleman agreement. But all of a sudden, when it was time to now be able to allot those positions, they said, this guy, we agreed that he was going to take national vice chairman, Northeast. And then who was there? The former SGF said, no, you're going to represent us from the Northeast when we have the likes of Atiku Abubakar, former vice president, the likes of me, that I was the former secretary to the government of the federation. No, you cannot be my chairman or the vice chairman representing.
This discussion is becoming interesting.
It is.
I think we should not dwell much into that. On the aspect of, still on the Fourth Republic and the internal party democracy, when you say politics, godfatherism and money politics has been playing shall I say a vital role? We had been shaping our political, it has been shaping the narrative in the political terrain.
Yeah.
So what can you say about godfatherism and money politics as 2027 is approaching?
You can never take that one away.
Why?
Because that's the kind of democracy that we practice in this country. And I dare to say that it's a different kind of democracy from anywhere in the world. Somehow we've been able to now whip up our own definition of democracy. And you cannot take away godfatherism, you cannot take away the issue of money politics. You cannot take that. Even the government knows that once the election comes, you see the kind of money that has been set aside for government, for INEC, and then of course for the judiciary. So it's a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to do politics, especially in Nigeria. You have to have an economic war chest to be able to do that. If you don't do that, nobody sees you.
You made me remind something. There's a politics between successor and predecessor.
Yeah.
Take Kaduna as an example. What happened between former Governor Ubasani and Malanas?
Yes.
Take Kano as an example. Konkoso and Ganduji.
Yes. And Ganduji. And then, of course, and Abba too.
Take Gombe as an example. Ibrahim Hassan Donkombo and Danjuma Goji.
Exactly. Yes.
So why do we get it wrong? I believe, as a godfather to any politician, it sounds somehow interesting, and most of the African politics, why do we get it wrong?
Okay, the biggest factor of why we get it wrong is interest. Interest.
Which is inevitable.
Exactly, it's interest. And of course, I don't see that just interest is overvolting interest. Just like you have overvolting ambition. So you have overvolting interest. You could have interest, but if your interest is bigger than what ordinarily it should be. I'm leaving all your examples. I'm taking the example of rivers, where, of course, we know what happened. Exactly. So if I am your godfather politically, and I've been able to pave way to say, okay, this is the person I've anointed as my candidate. That should be the person that will take over from me, that will make sure that he continues with all the things I've done. All my legacies are protected with this person. And then power is a terrible thing. You step out and then you start feeling sick because you're no longer that person that you used to be for 8 years. So sometimes you have that temptation as a human being, and as gullible as politicians can be, to want to still control a lot of what happens in that particular state, forgetting that power is transient. You've already moved it to another person, so let me just turn and face my business. Let that guy also face his business. But the moment you want to meddle in the things that person does, it will get to a time, even a goat, if you push it to the wall, it will bite. So that's what happens.
Don't you think that, still on this godfatherism aspect, I believe between former Governor Masari and incumbent Governor Diko.
Yes.
I think there's a little synergy between them.
Yeah.
So, do you think that Governor Masari made the right choice by putting Governor Diko there, And taking Borno State as an example, still there's a cordial relationship between the incumbent governor, Governor Zulum, and the vice president.
Yes. Okay, well, you see, in everything that happens, there are always exceptions. And these are just a few exceptions. So if you're sitting down to look at, let's say, 10 cases where you have a political godfather and a godson, and then the godson taking over from him, and they have squabbles, and then you find out that 7 out of 10, you have these issues like you have the Wikis and you have the Gandujes, and then that's to tell you that most times it doesn't end well. So those, for Rada, and that one for Baba Gana Zulum, they are exceptional cases. Exceptional cases because most probably those godfathers, as it were, actually went and decided to leave these guys to face. There was no meddling in what they were doing. Masari is an old man. He has been a speaker. He has seen it all. He has done 8 years. I mean, him leaving the government house was actually time for him to rest. So he's not going to go there to start meddling in issues that the young man has all the blood and whatever it is for him to be able to do. Looking at Baba Gana Zulum, this man has already done his 8 years. He came here as a senator. And as a senator, he was also gunning. He's now the vice president. I mean, I have my everything set out before me to do. I won't be there trying to meddle in what happens in Borno.
During President Muhammadu Buhari, when he was in power, he signed Not Too Young to Run. And it has been called the yearning and aspiration from young Nigerians. Yes. Do you think, in a nutshell, 2027, Nigerian youth will make any difference?
It's going to be difficult to say because very difficult to say because of 2 factors. Are the older generation, are they ready to give way? They are not.
But sometimes power is not given on a platter of gold.
Of course, it's not given on a platter of gold, but which young person is ready to take it? Whether on a silver platter or on a wooden platter, nobody is ready or wanting to be able to take it. The youth have already, because of money politics, and of course because they have that mind of, let me sit down and just bear with these people because somehow, maybe someday I'll be able to now, it will be my turn and I'm going to make the money like they're making. So because of that, they don't want to shift anything. They just want things to appear the way they are.
This conversation is actually interesting, but Charles, we have to draw the curtain of this show.
Sure.
And, see you in our next.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And that is all.
The future of Nigeria is not decided on the social media. It is decided at the polling unit. Nigeria is 1 year away to 2027 general election. Today, S24 is on the street to ask Nigerians a simple question, but a very important one. Do Nigerians have a voter's card, and does their votes really count? Let's find out from the people.
As a Nigerian, I have what they call franchise. So I have to assign my franchise to have my card to vote who I want to vote.
Yes, there's nothing that's going to stop me from voting. I will vote.
I didn't care to register is because the government of our country has been promising 4 years after to revive the economy of our country. It still failed. And to end the insurgency, kidnapping and banditry, up to date is disturbing us. That's why I don't care to get PBC.
I registered to get the voter card because of the election of Nigeria. I believe my vote in the count for Nigeria.
What I was getting from women is to know your rights. And secondly, you choose your right candidates. Well, why I'm more willing to vote to something? It's because of Tinubu. I'm voting for him because he's a man of his words. He has given me his point.
Please get your voter's card. Vote wisely.
My fellow Nigerians, I want to advise you, go for your permanent PVC, vote for your conscience, vote your right, vote is your right, and your vote will count.
You heard from many Nigerians that most of them have their permanent voters cards, and many of them believe that their votes will be counted in the forthcoming 2027 general elections.
Welcome back from that documentary. Now to technology, innovation, and digital world. With me, Aisha Muhammad, and here's what's shaping ICT from Nigeria to the global stage. Vice President Kashim Shettima at a recent forum highlighted Nigeria's shift from consuming AI to producing it. aiming to boost economic growth and create opportunities for businesses and entrepreneurs. Experts say this positions Nigeria as a key player in Africa's technology future. The Nigerian Communication Commission, NCC, says operators must compensate users whenever network service falls below standards. The Commission disclosed that the new rule is aimed at improving connectivity and holding telecom companies accountable nationwide. And now, Africa is taking center stage on the global tech scene as GITEC Africa 2026 kicks off in Marrakesh, focusing on real results for investors and tech companies. AI, cybersecurity, and fintech innovators are forming partnerships, giving Nigeria a chance to showcase homegrown solutions, attract investments, and accelerate digital transformations. Many tech enthusiasts describe such events as key to skill development, job creation, and integrating African tech into the global market. And finally, a look at global tech headlines. Samsung has reported an 8-fold jump in earnings due to rising demand for AI-specific chips. Samsung's growth reflects the increasing role of AI across industries worldwide, from cloud computing to autonomous systems. The company's investment in AI semiconductor technology have positioned it as a leader in global tech race, signaling the huge commercial potentials of AI innovation. And the boom in AI is also driving demand across the broader semiconductor industry. The surge reflects growing investments in AI, robotics, and next-generation electronics. Industry experts say the demand for faster, more efficient chips is reshaping production priorities worldwide. This growth underscores how technology infrastructure is evolving to meet the need of an AI-driven economy. That's it on ICT World. Stay with us. After the break, Khadija Muhammad is on standby with entertainment news. Thank you.
Hello and welcome back from the break. And now let's dive into the entertainment updates for today. Tension reportedly erupted in Lagos as Grammy-winning artist Burna Boy was involved in a physical altercation with Dick's Junkie, DJ Tunes. The incident occurred during a Monday night gathering at DJ Obi's weekly event held at Obi's house. Accounts surrounding the clash remain conflicting. Some reports suggest the situation escalated after multiple songs by Wizkid were played, a move some attendees linked to the long-standing rivalry between both artists. Eyewitnesses claim the confrontation quickly turned physical, with both parties exchanging blows before members of Burna Boy's entourage allegedly joined in. Security personnel eventually intervened to restore order. In the aftermath, DJ Tunes took to social media, stating he stood his ground despite being outnumbered. Burna Boy has not issued an official statement yet, though recent posts on his Instagram story have been interpreted by fans as indirect reactions. Meanwhile, the Nollywood actress Bimbo Ademoye is trending following reaction to a scene in her recent film Mirrors and Reflections. A viewer raised concern over an actor's noticeable yellow eyes in the courtroom scene, suggesting a possible underlying health issue and urgent medical attention. The comment quickly gained attraction online, sparking mixed reaction. While some users echoed concern, others dismissed it as a possible camera or lighting inconsistency during production. As of now, no official response has been issued regarding the observation. And moving on, Abuja will host a DJ competition tagged Spin and Roll on April 25th at Palladium Plaza, Gwarimpa. It's organized by Lavish Loft Hospitality. The event will feature emerging DJs competing for 1 million naira grand prize with additional cash reward for runner-ups. Interested participants are required to register and submit a 5-minute DJ mix for selection process. The competition is expected to attract music enthusiasts and showcase rising talent in the capital's entertainment scene. And finally, on the international scene, across the United States, American rapper Offset is recovering after sustaining a gunshot wound. The incident occurred outside the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, following a reported altercation in the Valet area. Authorities confirmed the injury is non-life-threatening, and the artist is currently receiving medical care. Rapper Lil TJ was briefly detained at the scene on a disorderly conduct charge before being released on bail. He has since denied any involvement in the shooting. The situation has sparked widespread reaction on social media, with unverified claims circulating about a possible dispute linked to gambling activities. However, law enforcement officials say investigations are still ongoing, and fans and fellow celebrities, including Ric Flair, have expressed support and well wishes for Offset's recovery. And that's a wrap on today's entertainment update. Coming up next is the sport news after the short break.
Welcome back from that break. Here's your latest sport updates from across Nigeria, Africa, and the world. We begin here in Nigeria, where the Super Eagles have received a major boost as Arthur Okonkwo has been officially cleared by FIFA to represent Nigeria after completing his switch from England. The Wrexham goalkeeper now joins the competition for the #1 spot alongside Stanley Nwabali and Maduka Okoye, adding depth and quality to Nigeria's goalkeeping option. From the senior team to the future of Nigeria's football, Nigeria's under-20 women's team, the Falconets, have resumed training camp as they prepare for their final qualification round for the 2026 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. The team will be looking to maintain Nigeria's strong reputation for the global stage as they push for qualification. Now to action on the domestic scene. The Nigerian Women's Football League Premiership continues with crucial matchday 14 fixtures. River Angels will face Adamawa Queens, while Bayelsa Queens will go up against Ibom Angels in key encounters that could influence both the title race and relegation battle. From Nigeria, we move to global stage with sad news from the world of football. Legendary Romanian manager Mircea Lucescu has passed away at the age of 80, just days after stepping down as the head coach of Romania's national team. The Romania Football Federation described him as an absolute legend, a visionary, and a national symbol. Lucescu enjoyed a remarkable career spanning decades, managing top clubs across Europe and leaving behind a lasting legacy as one of football's most respected tacticians. And now to action on the pitch in Europe. Kai Havertz scored a late winner as Arsenal defeated Sporting CP 1-0 in their Championship League quarter-final first leg. Meanwhile, Harry Kane led Bayern Munich to a 2-1 victory over Real Madrid, with Kylian Mbappe scoring Madrid's only goal. And that's a sport update from Nigeria's rising momentum to tribute for a global icon and champions. We pass over to Sadika Yusuf for Pidgin News. Stay with us.
Happen for Nigeria reach Obodoyibo. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu don officially finish to dey send Nigeria ambassadors go big countries. The Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Bianca Ojukwu, na she give them the official paper to show say them get right to represent Nigeria for abroad. Nigeria sent Aminu Dalha to go United Kingdom, Ayodele Oke go France, and Jimoh Ibrahim go United Nations. For New York, government say this move will help Nigeria get better mouth for outside and make our country follow other nations. They do better thing where they do for that side. Another story for Nigeria be say the Ondo State African Democratic Congress ADC don't talk say them no go do meeting where them been planned before. This one na because INEC tell them made them hold on first. The chairman of the party for the state, Wole Ademoyegu, talk say them they follow wetin INEC talk because some internal palaver still dey ground. He don't want party members make them no go do any meeting where them no get permission for and make everybody maintain to avoid wahala. And now make I carry una enter Plateau where Governor Caleb Muftuwan don reduce the curfew for Jos North because everywhere don dey calm down small for that side. The government talk say people fit move from 6 a.m. for morning reach 6 p.m. for evening. Even though the governor say make people they move, he still won't say make everybody follow wetin security people talk. Police and army still they patrol the area, make wahala no start again. Another better story be say Nigeria won't follow Indonesia style grow money. The federal government don't talk say them they look how Indonesia take grow their money so that Nigeria self will reach $1 trillion economy. The Minister of Budget, Abubakar Bagudu, talked this one when he meets with the Indonesia ambassador for Abuja. He said Indonesia don't try well to change their country and Nigeria won't learn from them for our own 2026 to 2030 plan. They want focus on how to help private business grow and work with other countries. For outside Nigeria, US President Donald Trump don't stop fight with Iran for 2 weeks. This small break now to give chance made them follow Iran talk peace. Everybody for war they look the Strait of Hormuz area because Nigeria light and fuel for many countries they pass. As this one they happen, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer they prepare to visit some countries for the Middle East to see how they fit stop the fight for there. He say he happy with the way them talk the fight for now. He still talk say now only talk go bring peace for a long time. Say kata no fit bring peace. Now all what we get for today to be that. Make I leave now with Halima Abdurrauf.
Thank you, Sadiqa Yusuf, for that version of our news.